Okay. um, I'm going to be talking about a few things. Really just letting myself show up authentically, letting myself express what I feel and where I'm at, and really like what's been happening lately and all the stuff. So, um, always felt like and I knew that I wanted to be someone to make art and make content and make something like beautiful in the world. It's like creative expression is something that has always been important to me, but something I have rarely been able to harness and do consistently enough to create something of real sustainable value, I think, for other people and for myself. And my hope is that um, now I can start to express myself and create things that last and that have an impact on other people. I even as I say this, I get goosebumps, but my dream has always been to work in mental health and to be a healer and to help people in their lives through coaching, through just being with them in a way that helps them. And this is deep in my heart and in my presence right now. I went to go visit my brother in Texas, and this is a hard this is a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing for me to process as of late. I feel I feel powerless in a lot of ways. I just feel like I don't have the answers and that I'm not equipped. Um, and that I don't know um, sometimes what to do. And I feel like, um, I want to be helpful, and I want to be, I want to be listening to what my highest spirit is, where it's guiding me and where it's telling me to go, and trusting that it's moving me in the right directions. And I feel like there's a part of life that is innately scary, and the unknown of what's to come can sometimes be stifling, and it can sometimes be all encompassing, because I feel like as humans sometimes we want to control how outcomes end up, and we want to control how things happen. And that's a nature, that's a piece of wanting safety and security. And for me, the deepest trust that I place in this life is listening to that which I don't understand, that is higher than me and telling me to um, do something that's positive and to move into a space that is good. And I went and I visited my brother last week, and I gave him as much presence as I could, and as um, I'm learning that even though we're not equipped for the things that we are called to do, you still have to step into them, and you still have to have the faith that what you're doing is worth it, and that those hunches and that those beliefs that you have that are coming up, or these things that you know to be true, that you know deep down in your soul are prompting you, that those things are accurate. And I think beautiful part of life is when we can learn to act on those things. When we can learn to discern and say, this prompting that I have is uh, it's the right place to go, and stepping into those things. Like for me this year, something I've been working on is discipline, and something that I've been working on is taking steps towards things that I have said that I've wanted to do for my entire life, but finally putting the action into seeing them come to fruition, like starting my own business, like getting coaching seriously, like joining a new gym community, um, being reintegrating family dynamics that are super tough. And as I like move into these things, what I'm learning is not only am I capable of figuring all these things out, but I'm actually becoming more present and more of who I'm supposed to be by stepping into those things that I know are the right way for me and the right path for me. And that is a daunting thing, I feel, as I've spent years spinning my wheels and not, almost like on the sidelines, it feels like, um, not stepping into where I'm being called. And I feel like when we when we don't step into what we're supposed to, we get stuck. And that's when things like anxiety and things like depression and things like all these things can take us over. And I'll say, you know, stepping into this situation last week, it triggered a lot of things. Anger. Right now, I'm angry. I'm grieving. I'm sad. Um, I believe I'm a high empath, and when I'm around people that I care about, I almost like take on a lot of what they're feeling. Not by choice. I think it's a subconscious exchange of um, being around someone. That's why they say, you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with, and you really become like the environments that you put yourself into. And I believe that to be very true. And something I'm super grateful for is how consciously I've really surrounded myself with incredible people, incredible friends. Even the suggestion to record this video and talk about things with my brother has, come from a friend prompting it, and it's something I'm really appreciative for. I feel like, um, just this nature of life, that one thing I'm seeing in 2025 is that progress is not linear. Also, I very am strongly starting to believe that almost that like time is not linear either. And I know this, like, this is a theory, it's a concept that I've been chewing on, but it's like we can get almost frozen in certain psychological states, or states of emotional being. Like we care if we're carrying a lot of negative energy, or like past, like things from our past, it literally can lock us into living a reality that's not in the present, but it's locked into the past or the future. That is something I feel like it's happened to me over the past couple of years in certain time frames, and I'm really thankful that I feel like I'm on the precipice of really like coming through that. And what has helped me with that and the power of what I'm experiencing right now is the decisions to look inward. And I also want to talk about the power of individuality in a society that will tell you to be like everyone else and do everything everyone else is doing. Like this whole attitude of like groupthink and of doing things because other people say that they're supposed to. I think it's a tragedy when people lose their individuality, and because you lose your ability to think for yourself. I think people are constantly being programmed with things, social media, with what other people are saying, with what preachers are saying. Um, Even Christian culture can be super toxic. I feel like innately I there's this piece of me that I think I've in a lot of ways like shamed, and in a lot of ways I haven't let fully come into the world, which is like my real authentic who Michael is. And I feel like the reason for that is I we have these drives that like tell us I want to like fit in, I want to do things like this because someone else has done that. And I'm telling you right now, the realizations of late have been the more that I have leaned into who I am, the more that I've trusted who what is budding to come out of me, the more like beautiful and amazing that my life has started to look, and the more authentic my interactions with people are, and the more the depth of my friendships has increased. The like love that I have for myself has amplified. All of it stemming from the fact that I'm trusting myself to move through life in an authentic way. And I'm not doing it, I'm not lost in thought. I'm not lost in this should be done, but it's like it's you're living from your intuition. You're living from the soul, your like just the source of you that is budding to become out, like it is there. And I feel like for me at least it had been, and I think there's always this pressure, like we're always receiving so much information, so much direction. And innately I feel for me the greatest direction that I can listen to and receive is what's coming out of me, because at the end of the day I feel like we as people know what's best for us independent of what anyone else thinks. It makes my stomach turn when I think about people trying to change other people because they think that their way of doing things will work for another person, when in reality everyone has to go through their own process. Everyone has to go through periods of darkness, periods of high highs and light. And if you don't go through those processes yourself, you will never you will never come out the other side, and you will never become who you're born to be. And it's a scary process because there are things that I don't even want to be doing right now, but I do them because I know that the 90-year-old version of me um, is that, like, for me to get to where I know intuitively that I'm going, I have to do certain things. I have to work in a certain way. I have to show up for myself really. I have to apply a lot of discipline. I have to be very disciplined in the things that I'm doing and the way that I'm going about life. And how I'm approaching things. And even in this past week, like it made no sense for me. It made no logical sense for me to go to Texas for a week and live with my brother, but it was something that's I'm so intuitively connected to. I knew that I needed to go do that. And I didn't have wasn't dictated by logic. It wasn't dictated by direction from anyone. It was just it came out of me in my connection to like my soul and um what's higher, that was the thing to do. And I truly, after doing it for a week, I'm saying like that it's confirmation, like it's true confirmation of the fact that I was called there, and something good things happen from me following that hunch. I like to call them like intuitive hunches, or whatever label works. But it's these promptings that we get that are not, I think that it's our obligation, not I'm learning now, it's our duty almost to listen when we slow down and when we're present, when we're not lost in thought or running after past present, but we're here and we can listen to what those hunches are, and we can act on them. And when you act on what you believe in, that's when the magic happens. That's when things really start to click. That's when life starts to feel seamless. That's when the this piece of you that is budding for expression comes out, and you start to see the fruition of it. There are many things in my life that I'm curious about of my future that I would be excited to have now, but I know that this is where I'm currently at, is a season that I have to be present with. And I think that there's so much beauty in living in today and living in what's happening now and being disciplined about having almost like identity level connection to your vision, or identity level belief in what's possible, an identity level, like almost like it's like a visceral knowing that it's coming, and who you are is gonna it comes out of you, and you kind of have to listen to it, and you have to trust it, and you have to follow it, and it's a powerful journey, and it's something that is scary because I don't feel like most people live their life this way. I feel like most people are dominated by their mind, and they're dominated by expectations of others, and they're dominated by what will give security, and they're dominated by pursuing things that I think that they're told to pursue, and they're told that that would make them happy, but in reality, um, you lose so much zest for life. You lose so much integrity, I think, with yourself. I think one thing that I've garnered this year has been how much just gratitude and like ability I see in myself. Like it's this is the first time I feel like I've slowed down to reflect. It's February 17th, 2025. It was January 1st, like yesterday. I feel and just how much growth that I've seen within myself, and what I've been able to do, not only as like a result, which the results are there, but it's like the character development, and the um there's like the internal shifts that are going on within me. And I feel like it's our duty and it's our obligation to lean into the things that are going to help us grow. And those things tend to not be easy, and those things tend to not be fun. And those things tend to not, and they can be, right? Like this new gym I joined, it working out is tough sometimes. Waking up at 4:45 is tough sometimes, but eventually it starts to become fun. Eventually it starts to become who you are. And I think that as we go through this life and we pursue things, we start to identify with them more. And as you do that, it comes very seamlessly. And the progress and the growth comes seamlessly. And I feel almost like I want to defend people who have this part of them that wants to expand, and they have this part of them which wants to seek growth and expression. I feel like all of us in life have this like creative expression, or this artist in us that wants to go out and create something in this world, or create financial income from artistic expression, or doing something that's very in alignment for you. And for me, it is our it is our place to go out and do that. And for people who try to, like I said, I get frustrated with things like the group think, and with trying to change others to match a certain mold, or people feel like culture. I think culture across time has tried to change people to get them to like live their life a certain way because of they think that it's the better way. And I feel like I said, innately, I feel like within everyone, and it's different for everyone. Like my path is wildly different than what other people will experience. But everyone's unique path is really sacred, and it's really special. And everyone should give themselves a shot to see what they can create with their lives if they start to live from their intuition, and they live from the trust that they have within themselves and their ability to show up for themselves, independent of what other people think, independent of what your parents think, of what your church thinks, of what your best friends think, of what your mentors think. Everyone has an opinion, but at the end of the day, the best thing for you to do is to trust yourself, and to trust the direction that your life is going, and for you to follow that, and to have belief, and to have core conviction around the fact that you're moving in the right direction. That goes, and I say this because it's a practice to recite this to myself too, as someone who is now started a business, as somebody who has branched away from a lot of what he's known, and to step into a life that is has a lot of unknowns to it. This is as much for me as it is for anybody, but it is critical. Like, and I say this because just the amount of gratitude and like the amount, like the depth of life increases. I feel like I've lived a lot of my life like connected to this surface level, and surface level is not a place to build something amazing. I feel like, people people joke about like watching sports and um, doing these things that are just meaningless, and I think society just wants you to watch the television and get lost and to not be as focused as you could be. And I'm here to say life can be so beautiful. Life can be anything that you want it to be. Like that job that you want, that apartment that you want, the roommates that you want, the life that you want to live, the partner that you want to have, the money that you want to make. It's all there for you, and it's all you're capable of achieving all of that. And most importantly, above all, um, you are worthy of love. You're worthy of love as you are, right? I think innately people feel like they have to perform to hear that and to accept that. I've had many people in my life who didn't believe that they were worthy. They didn't believe that including my brother, who I just visited. There's this lack of seeing themselves as valuable. And I feel like it's such a shame and it's so sad when people who have so much value and who have so much worth fail to recognize that within themselves. And I feel like the quickest way to lose yourself and to create a life of chaos is to not love yourself and to not treat yourself with respect and with dignity and with that love that you deserve. And all of that is, it's so critical to look at and say, you don't need somebody else to you don't need somebody else to give you a green light to tell you that you're loved or that you're worthy of love. Any god in this universe, any greater being who people pray to, um, that's not what love is. It's not a performance thing. It's not a performance thing. You don't have to perform to be loved. Um, you don't have to do anything to deserve love. And obviously there's, people who do great evil and people who are, whatever, but innately you're worthy, and innately nothing in this life should drive someone to feel guilty about being who they are and being authentic to who they are. Nothing. I don't care what any religious doctrine says. I don't care what any pastor says. I don't care what any um, bullshit artist has to say about that. You are worthy of love, and if culture or religion tells you that you're not because you behave a certain way, then they can kick the fucking can, because I I believe it's absolute bullshit that people feel so much guilt about being themselves that they drive themselves into depression, they drive themselves into suicide, they drive themselves into losing themselves completely because they don't feel accepted enough by the people around them, because there's some bullshit standard of living that they want that person to live up to, and then that's not who they are. Then maybe go love them where they are and appreciate them for what they have to offer, because I guarantee you, if you got to know somebody who was being shamed or somebody who had low self worth and who felt guilty about who they are, that you would get to know them in a way that, and you learn about them if you gave a shit. You would see that they have just as much to offer as somebody who's more traditionally, conventionally um, normal or whatever. So, all this to say, my frustration is in, you don't have to perform for love. Like I said, any God, any higher being loves you as you are. And anyone to tell you differently is a fucking bullshit artist, and you shouldn't listen to them. Being worthy of love stems from, first off, loving yourself, learning to respect yourself, and then choosing to take aligned action with what you feel like God or the universe is telling you, and to trust that and to lean into that and to push into that and to say, this, I'm here, this is who I am, and I'm going to trust the process, and I'm going to trust that. And in that, you're worthy of love and you are loved. And anyone to tell you differently is full of shit. So groupthink is frustrating. um, and I feel just this immense sense of like purpose and mission and drive and vigor after going to see my brother. I feel like that's a situation for me, and you have a situation for yourself that's different. But for me, this has been something I've been navigating and processing for decades. This one relational dynamic, and within that, there's a lot of probably unearthed trauma and some unearthed things that I still have to deal with. But engaging in it from a place of non-avoidance, and that's something I want to speak into, is when we choose to face our problems voluntarily, when we say, I'm going to take ownership of this thing, you can face it, and it starts to become less scary over time. I feel like we build our problems up so deeply into in our minds that we paint a picture that's not accurate anymore. But when we choose to move into these things that scare us, these things that must be done, and when we do them in a way that is by choice, we can face them, and we can um, triumph over them. We can exist within them. We can learn to integrate. We can learn to process through something and integrate something back, which is what this life is about. This life is not about comfort and avoidance. This life is about saying, what's the path forward? How do I move forward within this? Embracing that and going for it. That's what this life is about. And anything less of that isn't true. Anyone telling you this life is about sitting on the rock and meditating all day, they're wrong. Anyone who's telling you this life is about being Mother Teresa and serving all day, they're wrong. Life is a blend of these things. Life is nuanced. Life is gray. Life is not black and white. Politics is not life. Your human experience is very nuanced. It's very gray, and it's something that you will see that is always in ebb and flow. You are always in process. You are always in a state of flux and change, and the decisions that you're making are affecting the days that you will go on to experience. And everything's connected. It's all connected. And get out of get out of your own way, meaning let yourself express who you are. Be confident in that who you are is somebody that other people will receive and that they will want to be around. And you never have to change for other people. The desire to change, the desire to do better, the desire to have morals is a good thing, but it's not the thing that should drive you to perform, right? Performance is not love. Performance is ego, performance is trauma, and it's not a state of joy. It's not a state of becoming even. It's a state of striving, which striving and suffering is not something that you have to do to experience the love of God and the love of a higher being. You're worthy of that without it. And this life is amazing. This life can be everything that you want it to be if you're willing to be disciplined and identify with the version of yourself that has these things and that is moving towards these things. And you're also doing a really good job. So, to myself, anyone watching this, I'm very proud of what you're doing and of the way you're moving. I am someone who doesn't slow down to smell the roses sometimes because I feel like my time here is limited and I'm gonna run towards what I'm doing with a battle axe and a Viking tattoo on my tricep, and I'm gonna go slay the fucking dragon. And I'm here to say that you're doing a good job, and slowing down is also a good thing. And being present with where you are is a good thing, and not being so caught up in concept and caught up in schedule, but be caught up in the moment and in the day to day. I think that's where the beauty of life can flourish, and that's where you can have the most success in your life is within the day to day and within the things that you do that matter, making your actions more aligned with your where you're going and your highest self, and doing the best that you can to see yourself become successful. So I'm gonna leave it at that, but overall, you're worthy of love. You don't have to perform for love. You don't have to do anything outside of yourself to receive love. And the actions that you take that are disciplined, that feel the most aligned for you, that are leading you in the direction of where you're trying to go. Trust it and move into it and be proud of the fact that you're able to do that.